Last episode of 2023, I think is it 599? Are we there?
598, I think. No, 598, I think was the last episode. This is 599.
This is 599. So first episode of 2024 is going to be the 600th episode of the Just Baseball Show.
Amazing.
What
Amazing.
are we doing? Come on. GM episode for the Yankees and the Minnesota Twins. I also saw an interesting report that I want to run by you and just kind of gauge the value of this guy compared to who he's measuring himself against. But Jack and Peter on the Just Baseball Show, very excited to walk through Peter's Yankees. And the Twins was an interesting one because we're trying to improve the team while also cutting cost.
Mhm.
They were about 10 million shy of where they were at last year. And they're trying to get cheaper. They are one of the two teams with Texas that lost the Bally telecast coming into 2024, and that's going to hurt them financially. So we got to kind of adjust all that and try and knock the salary down. But before all that, Peter, who are we brought to you by?
BetMGM, the king of sportsbooks, ladies and gentlemen. Sign up and deposit into your newly created account using promo code JustBaseball. Download the BetMGM Sports app on iOS or Android or visit BetMGM.com. Place your first bet offer and receive up to $1,500 back in bonus bets if it loses. And if that bet does lose, your bonus bets will be available once the wager is settled. Gambling problem? Call or text 1-800-GAMBLER. Must be 21 years old and older. Terms and conditions apply. And if you are watching this episode on YouTube, hit that big red subscribe button, hit the like button, and comment some of the crazy things that we're about to discuss: the Minnesota Twins and the New York Yankees. Jack, I'm excited to get into it.
I'm excited to get into it too. I saw Jim Bowden on CBS Sports HQ talk about Josh Hader.
Mm.
And Jim Bowden mentioned that Josh Hader wants more money. He wants a bigger deal than the one Edwin Diaz signed last year, which was 5 for $102 million. He noted some suitors. I think the suitors that he mentioned were the Yankees, the Rangers, who I feel like have been the front runner the entire time, and somehow the Dodgers still have more capital that they can dish out. Like, we got to stop doing this. Did you listen to the episode yesterday? Aram and I just kind of like ate shit. It's like, yeah, we tried not to be boring, but in reality, the Dodgers get the free agents.
Yeah, it was cool. I was right on the contract, but I was wrong on the team, and I think a lot of us were. And what we've always tried to do here at the Just Baseball Show is give you different paths, different teams who we think can make sense, right? We're not counting a record. We're not trying to be perfectly right. If we were, we would sign all the free agents to the Dodgers. But while we did assume the Dodgers were going to be the front runners, and we did mention them, we wanted to place them on different teams, be a little bit different. And sometimes when we're a little bit different, we look like idiots. And then sometimes when we're a little bit different, we nail it, right? So there's the back and forth there. But Yoshinobu Yamamoto is a Dodger. Shohei Ohtani is a Dodger. Tyler Glasnow is a Dodger. If we said that on the show, it'd be a little bit boring. We'd be right. Wouldn't be as good.
Wouldn't be as fun. Call me crazy, but I don't think Josh Hader's a Los Angeles Dodger. I think he goes somewhere else.
Yeah, I don't.
I hope he goes somewhere else.
I
For the
don't think
sake
he's
of
a
the game.
Dodger, partly because the Dodgers actually needed starting pitching going into the year. So getting Yamamoto, getting Tyler Glasnow makes sense. The relief pitching has been fantastic. Now, they did trade Victor Gonzalez to the Yankees, but
Yeah, but like they've
is
got
signing
Phillips and Gratterall. Like they have so many
exactly.
guys that they throw out at you. It's overwhelming. So I don't think the Dodgers need Josh Hader. Again, call me crazy. Um, I want to ask you before we talk about like best fit for this guy. Do you think that's a fair ask for Hader or no? Bigger deal than Edwin Diaz. Edwin Diaz signed the deal a year younger than Hader is right now. Hader has more years of being a top three reliever in baseball under his belt than Diaz did. But what Hader doesn't have is 101 and the craziest slider you've ever seen. Those two pitches from Edwin Diaz in a vacuum are better than anything that has come out of Josh Hader's left hand. Having said that, Hader has track record in a position that track record does not exist, quite frankly. So you're paying for a unicorn in a different way. I'm very hesitant to do that. I think that Diaz, at time of hitting the open market, was a more valuable reliever. How much has the market changed in the last 365 days? I don't know. But if gun to my head, if I lose, punch me in the face, like any cliche we can throw out. If you asked me who deserves a bigger deal, I say Edwin Diaz, and I don't lose sleep over it. Do you agree or disagree?
I agree with that point. If I had to choose, who would I rather have? Edwin Diaz or Josh Hader? But at the same time, a guy who has never thrown a baseball in Major League Baseball just signed for over $300 million.
Yeah.
The market continues to change.
Yeah.
And what I will say is if you weren't going to give it to Edwin Diaz, what closer would you give it to? Now, you could throw out a couple of names, right? Would you give it to Felix Bautista, even though he has an arm injury, or would you give it to a guy who had a great year last year? Sure, right? We can come up with some names who you might think right now are a little bit better than Josh Hader. But what Josh Hader has proved and what you talked about is the track record. He has been one of the most dominant closers in Major League Baseball for the last half decade. What does that guy deserve? Well, as the market evolves, right? 365 days ago, the starting pitching market wasn't what it is now. Josh Hader may not be as good as Edwin Diaz, but as the market evolves, 105 million could very well be in his future. And I think there's an obvious team that he should go to. And it's the Dodgers. No, I'm just kidding. But maybe. But I really do think that the Texas Rangers are a perfect fit here, right? Their one issue was their bullpen. There's not a lot of issues because they just won the World Series. But when we went into the later innings with them, what was the reason we thought the Diamondbacks could hang in it? It was their bullpen, right? And they didn't have the greatest bullpen in the world. And the Rangers just out-hit everybody. And they got such great contributions from Nathan Eovaldi and Jordan Montgomery. But Jordan Montgomery is gone now. So it may be time, if they are cutting cost, to not re-sign Jordan Montgomery, but put all of that money in the bullpen, right? Yeah. You can move Jose Leclerc down, and then you have a dominant closer. Because what has been Josh Hader's kind of bugaboo, right? It's not getting enough rest, and it's pitching multiple innings. Well, he wouldn't have to do that with the Texas Rangers because they have enough depth in the back end. So I think a team like the Rangers makes a lot of sense for a guy like Josh Hader, right? You're seeing the Dodgers, you're seeing other teams kind of come up on you, and the American League is relatively wide open right now. The Texas Rangers get that stamp of approval in the bullpen with Josh Hader. Of course, they're one of the World Series favorites yet again.
Yeah. So one more thing, just comparative exercise between Josh Hader and Craig Kimbrel. Because I think Hader and Kimbrel are in very similar spots where Hader is not a Hall of Famer, but we can look at Hader and clearly say this guy is on a Cooperstown track. If he does this for 5 more years, he's probably a Hall of Fame closer. Craig Kimbrel, after his age 29 season, we were like already penciling in to Cooperstown. This guy was a Hall of Fame closer. Through their age 29 season, Hader just finished up his age 29 season. Josh Hader in 380 innings has a 2.5 ERA, a whip at .94, 15 Ks per 9, and 3.6 walks per 9. So the big numbers that I want you to remember are a 2.5 ERA, 15 Ks per 9, and a .94 whip. Craig Kimbrel, through his age 29 season, in 470 innings, so 90 more innings than Hader, 80 more innings than Hader, had a 1.8 ERA. His whip was .91, 15 Ks per 9. Very, very similar. Kimbrel threw more. He got off to an earlier start as a full-time closer. Okay. But since his age 29 season, I'm going to do this real quick. Since Craig Kimbrel's age 29 season, taking us through this 3.2 ERA that he had with Philly this past year, Craig Kimbrel has a 3.4 ERA in 287 innings, a 1.12 whip, went down 2 Ks per 9 from 15 to 13, went up a walk per 9, and the FIP is at 3.6. Kimbrel's step back came when he turned 30. He was good with Boston. He was good with Chicago, but he wasn't Craig Kimbrell. So I just wonder if you're paying for Hader when he's not Josh Hader. He's not the Milwaukee Brewers Hader game's over.
Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't pay him, right? Like, I don't think that's the point of our conversation. I would never pay a reliever $100 million.
Yeah.
But would the market? Yeah.
I guess you
Because
have to.
when Edwin Diaz signed that $102.5 million deal, I was actually at a Jets game with some of my friends, a lot of Mets fans, and they were over the moon, so excited. And I'm thinking to myself, are you guys serious? And all they're talking about, Steve Cohen's money. It's not our money. And I'm like, okay, I understand. And then, of course, he goes down with the torn ACL in the World Baseball Classic. Can't project that, obviously. But things happen to these guys. What I do know about Josh Hader is he is probably the most dominant closer that we have in our game over the last 5 years to Edwin Diaz, right? And in the postseason, 19 and 2/3 innings, 33 punchouts, a 1.37 ERA. So he's postseason proven.
Yep.
He's regular season proven. And he's still disgusting, right? We didn't see a drop off in stuff last year. He's still pumping 96 at the top of the zone. And what a team could go to bed at night thinking to themselves, we have arguably the most dominant closer in Major League Baseball. The ninth inning, once we get there, it's over. Now, what's that worth? Edwin Diaz set the market. So for Josh Hader to come out and say, I want more than that, we've talked about this. Talked about the quarterbacks. I remember, I think it was the last episode, Arm's talking about Xavier Howard in the NFL, right? He's not the best corner in the NFL, but when it's your time to set the market, that's what these guys do. So I think Josh Hader probably gets 105, maybe even 110. And then the next reliever to come across, we're going to have the same conversation. We're going to be sitting here on episode 800 and thinking to ourselves, does this guy really deserve 115? Probably, because that's just the market and it keeps evolving. And we keep thinking that it should be less and less and less, when in reality, it's more and more and more. So I'm going to go a step further. I'd be surprised if he gets under Edwin Diaz's contract.
Crazy. I agree with you. I think that he is the new market setter. I'm also trying to pinpoint, like, who's the next guy that's going to reset this market? Who's going to be better? It's not Devin Williams, because Devin's already 29. Like, he and Hader were sneaky the same age.
Could it be Alexis Diaz with the Reds?
Could. I went
Maybe
to
not.
Yohan Duran. Duran will hit the market when he's 28, 29.
Yeah, that's a good one. It would, and it's not Class A because I think he already signed that extension.
He signed a little extension, but even then we saw a step back. Like Duran, I don't know how that guy takes a step back. If he's healthy, I don't know what a step back looks like.
He could go from 104 to 101.
Oh, yeah. No, Chapman's problem was the 100 marker, right? When he was 101, it was good night. And then when he was 97, it was, we're screwed.
4 earned in a third of an inning.
So ass. So ass.